My parents sold my car without asking to pay off a debt that wasn't even mine. When I walked out of the house that Thursday morning and saw the empty driveway, my first thought was that I'd parked my car somewhere else. Maybe around the corner, maybe at work I'd had a late shift. I was tired. Maybe I just forgot. You know how your brain fills in blanks when something feels off? But after checking my keys, my messages, and the tiny oil stain I knew by heart under where my Corolla used to sit, I realized it wasn't a memory issue. It was gone. Just gone. I stood there for maybe a full minute, phone in hand, like it could offer an explanation. Then I called my mom. "Hey," I said, trying not to sound panicked. "Do you know where my car is?" There was a pause, not hesitation, just tiredness. "Oh," she said, like I'd asked if she moved my shoes. "We sold it." I blinked. "What?" "We sold the car," she repeated. "Your father and I. We needed the money. There's no right way to react to something like that. There's no playbook." My jaw opened, closed, opened again. "You what?" A bit of context. I'm 23. I live at home. Yeah, I know, not ideal. I graduated college last year, moved back to save money, and picked up a retail job to hold me over while I applied for positions in my field, graphic design. For what it's worth. My parents were cool with it, or at least said they were. We had boundaries. I paid rent, chipped in for groceries, handled my own bills. And the car? That was mine. I bought it used at 19. It wasn't fancy, but it was reliable. Paid off. In my name. Registered. Insured, the whole deal. So to find out it had been sold, like some old toaster in a garage sale, without even asking. I thought I was dreaming. "I paid for that car," I said, pacing in the living room. "We know," my dad said from his recliner, not even looking up from his newspaper. "But the family comes first." "What does that even mean?" Mom was in the kitchen, wiping the same countertop over and over. "Your father's business had some setbacks. He owed some people." I turned to him. "What people?" He finally looked up. "It doesn't matter. What matters is we needed to square things before it got worse. Your car helped cover most of it. You had no right. We had every right." He cut in. "This is our house, our driveway. You're a guest here." That hit like a slap. I wasn't their son in that moment. I was just a boarder who overstepped. I stormed out. Didn't even know where I was going, just walked. Fast, breathing heavy. My hands shook. I wanted to punch a wall, scream, cry, throw something. But I didn't. Instead, I called Melissa. She was my ex-girlfriend, well, more like an ex-everything. We dated sophomore year of college, broke up during finals, stayed friends because it was easier than pretending we didn't still care. She picked up on the second ring. "Jake, hey," I said, trying not to sound crazy. "You busy?" "A little." "What's going on?" "My parents sold my fucking car." She laughed. I didn't. "Wait, seriously?" I wish I was joking. I crashed on her couch that night. She lived with 2 roommates who thankfully didn't ask questions. I told her everything, every word, every detail. She didn't interrupt, just sat cross-legged on the floor with a bowl of cereal and a furrowed brow. "Are you sure they had no other option?" she asked softly. "I don't care if they did," I snapped. "They didn't even tell me. Just took it. Like it was theirs." She nodded. "So what are you gonna do?" That was the question, wasn't it? What do you do when the people who raised you, the people who always said they loved you, cross a line that feels unforgivable? I didn't know yet, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going back home. The next morning, I borrowed Melissa's old bike and pedaled to the DMV. I hadn't slept much. How could I? The whole night. My mind played every argument I ever had with my parents on a loop. Like my subconscious was trying to prove to me that this betrayal wasn't out of nowhere. That there'd been signs all along. I remembered the time my dad borrowed $200 from my college savings to cover a poker night and never paid it back. Or the time Mom opened a credit card in my name, just to build my credit. Except she forgot to pay it. And I didn't find out until I tried to rent my first apartment. But this was a different beast. I needed proof. I needed to know if they actually sold the car legally, or if they forged something. If they signed my name, that was fraud. At the DMV, I waited nearly 2 hours just to be told I'd need to file a formal request to get the transaction history. I filled out the paperwork, hands trembling, trying not to think about how far this could go. The clerk, a bored-looking woman with a sandy name tag and 3 different pens in her hair, scanned the form and nodded. "We'll call you in a few days when it's ready." I sighed. Do you know who currently owns the car? She gave me a look. You, the registered owner? Technically, yes. Her eyes narrowed. Then she typed something into her computer. After a few moments, she muttered, "That's weird." My stomach dropped. What? The title was transferred yesterday afternoon. To who? I'm not supposed to say, she said, then lowered her voice. But it wasn't a dealership. Later that day, I went back home. Not to move in hell no, but to get answers. And maybe grab some clothes. The front door was unlocked. Typical. My mom was at the kitchen table, on her laptop, like nothing had happened. I didn't wait for small talk. I went to the DMV. I said flatly. They confirmed the car was sold. She closed the laptop. Face unreadable. We told you already. You signed the title, I continued. My name's on that car. You forged my signature. I did what needed to be done. I could hardly believe it. You committed fraud, Mom. She stood. Watch your tone. No, I snapped. I'm done watching anything. I'm pressing charges if you don't fix this. For the first time, I saw her hesitate. Just slightly a flicker of guilt or fear. I couldn't tell. Your father said it was fine, she said, more quietly. He's not a lawyer, I said. And this isn't fine. She didn't argue that part. That night, I stayed with an old high school friend, Drew. His place was small and smelled like weed, but he offered his couch without question. I appreciated that more than I could say. Around midnight, I got a text. Mom, please come home. We need to talk. I didn't reply. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Not a fancy one, just someone who did a free consult I found on Reddit, actually. She walked me through what could happen if I pursued charges. If they really forged your name on the title, that's a felony, she said. Auto title fraud. They could do jail time. That sobered me. Did I really want to put my parents in jail? Was that justice or just revenge? I didn't sleep again that night. And by the next morning, everything got worse. Because I found out who bought the car. Not from the DMV, but from a post on Facebook Marketplace. The buyer had listed it. Same dent in the bumper. Same sticker on the rear window. And in the background of the photos, I saw something that made my blood run cold. My old high school coach's driveway. Coach Ramirez. The same man who lent my dad money a few years back. The same man who stopped talking to our family suddenly, around the time my dad's business setback began. I messaged him immediately. Me. Hey coach, I saw you posted my old car for sale. Coach Ramirez. Your car. Me. Yeah, silver Corolla, 2011. License plate ending in 72. Coach Ramirez. That's the one. I bought it from your parents. Me. That car was in my name. Coach Ramirez. Your dad said it was his son's, but they had full rights. Me. He lied. Coach Ramirez. Jesus. Coach Ramirez. Look, kid, I didn't know. If you want it back, I'm not attached to it. I just wanted to help them out. Figured it was a loan they couldn't repay, so this was their way. My head was spinning. Not only had my dad stolen from me, he did it to repay an old debt. One he never told me about. A debt he racked up behind closed doors while smiling at me over dinner like everything was fine. He sold my independence to cover his shame, and I was done playing nice. I sat on Drew's stained couch, staring at the message thread with Coach Ramirez. My throat was tight, like I'd swallowed something sharp and couldn't cough it out. My dad, my own father, sold my car behind my back to pay off a personal debt, lied about it, and dragged my mom into it. And now the buyer, who turned out to be an old friend from the past, had unknowingly become part of the con. I didn't even care about the car anymore. I wanted the truth. And I wanted consequences. I grabbed my phone and called my dad. He answered on the second ring. Hello? It's me, I said. My voice was low, cold. We need to talk. In person. Now. He paused. Is this about the car again? Because don't play dumb, Dad. I know why you sold it. You owed Ramirez money, and you forged my signature to do it. That's a felony, by the way. Silence, then a sigh. Okay, fine. Come by. When I pulled up to the house, their house now, my stomach churned. Everything about this place made me feel like a kid again. Powerless. Invisible. I walked in through the garage door. My dad was in the kitchen, pouring himself coffee like this was just another Saturday morning. Mom sat at the table, eyes red, like she'd been crying for a while. You told him? He asked her. I didn't need to, I said. He figured it out himself. Dad took a sip of his coffee, then leaned on the counter. I did what I had to do, he said. No, I said. You did what was easiest for you. You think I wanted to do that? He snapped. You think it made me feel good handing over your car to Ramirez? You could have asked me, I said. I might have helped you if you'd told me the truth. You would have said no, he said, his voice rising. Because you're selfish. Just like when you moved out. You left us. You left your mom. You act like we're nothing to you. I laughed bitterly. You made yourselves nothing to me. When you opened that credit card in my name. When you borrowed from my savings. I was a backup plan to you. Not a son. You have no idea what kind of pressure we're under. And that's not my fault, I shouted. There was a long silence. My mom looked down at the table. My dad stared into his coffee. Then I said, I'm going to the police. That finally got a reaction. Whoa, come on, my dad said, stepping forward. Let's not do anything stupid here. What's stupid is letting you walk all over me for the rest of my life, I said. You stole from me. That's the bottom line. We're family, he said. Like that was supposed to make it okay. Exactly, I said. And you treated me like a stranger. That night I filed a report. Coach Ramirez backed up my story. He provided the bill of sale and admitted that my dad had signed both his and my name on the title. I uploaded text messages, screenshots, and copies of the DMV forms. The officer who took my statement looked uncomfortable the whole time. You sure you want to go through with this? He asked. They're your parents. They stopped acting like it, I replied. A week later, the consequences started to hit. My dad was served a summons. My mom called me crying. She begged me to drop the charges, said it would ruin their lives, said it was just a car. I told her it was more than that. It was everything. They took my trust, my safety, my belief that family means something, and that they'd chosen money over me, again and again. I got a call from a lawyer, their lawyer offering a settlement. They'd pay me back, plus some. No charges if I signed a release. It wasn't easy, but I said no. They wanted to buy me off, just like they sold off that piece of my life. I wanted them to learn something they couldn't buy their way out of. Then, something unexpected happened. A week before the court date, Coach Ramirez called. You should know, he said. Your dad showed up at my house. What? I said. He looked broken. Asked me if I'd testify for him. Told me he didn't mean for things to get so bad, that he thought you'd never notice. Did you believe him? I think he believed himself, Coach said. But no, I didn't agree to help him. He's gotta own it. Thanks. Hey, he added. You're doing the right thing, even if it sucks. I hadn't told many people about what happened, just Drew and Melissa, but word eventually got around. My cousin texted me. Is it true you're suing your parents? I didn't answer. Then my uncle called. Listen, he said. I know your dad's messed up, but pressing charges, that's harsh, man. It felt like everyone wanted me to forgive, forget, and keep the peace. But peace never came without truth. And forgiveness? That had to be earned. The courtroom was smaller than I'd imagined. Fewer than 20 chairs, pale blue carpet. Everything smelled faintly of disinfectant and tension. My dad sat across the room at the defense table. He looked older than I remembered, grayer, thinner. My mom was beside him, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, not looking at me. Their lawyer, a guy in an ill-fitting navy suit, flipped through documents like he was skimming a menu. I took my seat with the prosecutor, a composed woman named Ms. Lopez. She'd walked me through everything beforehand. Said this was a misdemeanor case, but with enough evidence it could escalate depending on the state's stance. Just be honest, she told me. Don't let the guilt trip you. She must have seen it in my eyes, the conflict. This wasn't some stranger. This was my dad. But it was also the man who'd repeatedly used me as a lifeline without my consent. And if I let it slide again, I'd be doing what I always did, letting him hurt me without consequence. When the judge walked in, everyone stood. And then it began. The prosecutor laid it all out. Forged title transfer, the sale of the vehicle, text messages that proved I hadn't consented. She presented my sworn statement, the DMV documents, and Ramirez's bill of sale with both signatures, one real, one fake. Then I was called to the stand. Can you describe the events that led you to believe your father committed fraud? I spoke slowly, calmly, like I was telling someone else's story, but my hands trembled in my lap. When I moved out, I left the car at their place temporarily. I hadn't transferred the registration yet. A few weeks later, I came home, and the car was gone. My dad said it had been stolen, but I got suspicious and checked with the DMV. And what did you find? That the car had been sold to someone named Miguel Ramirez. I didn't know who that was. Later, I found out he'd coached with my dad years ago. Ramirez told me my dad signed my name on the title. The defense lawyer stood up. Objection. Hearsay. The judge nodded. Sustained. Let's keep to direct facts, Mr. Ross. Ms. Lopez adjusted. Did you sign the title? No. Did you give anyone permission to sell your vehicle? No. Do you have any prior history of financial issues with your father? Yes, I said, and my voice cracked. When I turned 18, I found out he had a credit card in my name. He said it was just in case, but he racked up over $2,000 on it. Did you report that? No, I let it go. I looked over at him then. His eyes met mine just for a second. There was no anger, just shame. When it was his turn to testify, he didn't deny it. I did it, he said. I forged the signature. I thought he wouldn't notice, or that if he did, he'd understand. His voice was shaky. I was behind on everything. Mortgage, credit cards. I got desperate. Ramirez offered me a quick deal. I took it. Ms. Lopez asked, "Why not ask your son for help?" I didn't want to admit how bad it had gotten, he said, and I figured he wouldn't help anyway. That part hurt more than the theft, because deep down maybe he was right. The judge recessed the court for deliberation. It was only a bench trial, no jury. I sat outside, alone, my head in my hands. Drew texted me. "You okay?" "No idea," I replied. 30 minutes later we were called back in. My father was found guilty of misdemeanor fraud. Because of the amount involved and the cooperation with authorities, he avoided jail time, but he was sentenced to probation, ordered to pay restitution, and attend a financial responsibility course. The judge's final words stuck with me. "You've exploited the trust of your own child. Restoring that will be far more difficult than restoring your credit." After the verdict, my dad approached me in the hallway. "Evan," he started. I shook my head. "Don't. I know I don't deserve forgiveness," he said, "but I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Really sorry. And thank you for not pushing for jail time." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Weeks passed. I got the restitution checks, one by one. Small incremental payments, like he was buying pieces of his guilt back. I didn't cash them right away. I just kept them in a drawer. Then, I got a letter in the mail. It was from my mom. Inside was a note. "I didn't fight for you the way I should have. I stood by and let it happen. I'm so sorry. Please know I've started therapy. I'm trying to be better. If you ever want to talk, just talk, I'll be here." There was no manipulation, no excuses. Just that. And I cried. For the first time since it all started. 3 months had passed since the court verdict. The restitution checks kept coming. My therapist said I should feel validated, that I'd stood up for myself, created boundaries. But all I felt was a dull ache in my chest, like something vital had gone missing, and I wasn't sure I even wanted it back. I hadn't seen my parents since the trial, not until last Friday, when my younger sister Maddie texted, "Can we do dinner? Just us 3 siblings. No drama. Please." Maddie was 19, a college freshman and the only one in the family who hadn't chosen sides. She stayed with Mom after the whole thing, but visited me often. She never said much about it. She just brought coffee and talked about finals or boys or books. She was the only thread still holding my past and present together. So I agreed. We met at a small Italian place off Elm Street. Maddie was already there when I arrived. And so was my brother Jake. Jake had always been Dad's golden boy, the athlete, the charmer, the fixer. We hadn't spoken since the trial. Not once. He'd sent one text that said, "Really, you're gonna drag Dad through court?" And nothing since. Now, here he was, sitting across from me, arms folded, his jaw locked tight. "Evan?" He nodded stiffly. "Jake," I replied. Maddie forced a smile. "Look at us, real family reunion vibes." The waitress came. We ordered drinks and food. Small talk sputtered and died. Finally, Jake leaned forward. "Why didn't you come to us?" he asked. "Why the cops? Why court?" My chest tightened, because every time I tried to handle stuff privately, it blew up in my face. He scoffed. "You humiliated him. Our dad. He stole from me, Jake. He forged my name." "It wasn't that much money." I slammed my hand on the table, not loud, but firm. "It wasn't the money. It was the principle. It was all the years of him crossing lines and everyone acting like it was fine." Silence. Then Maddie spoke. "Jake, you weren't there. You didn't see what Evan went through when Dad maxed out that card. Or when Mom called and begged him not to report it. Or when Dad sold his car and pretended it was stolen." Jake looked away, his lips pressed into a thin, bitter line. "I know Dad messed up," he said finally, "but you could have talked to us first." "I did," I said. "You just didn't listen." We sat in silence for a while. Then the food came. Lasagna for me, chicken parm for Jake, Maddie's plate of pen steaming in the middle. No one touched anything. Then Jake's voice low and cracking. He's in debt again. I just found out. He took out a payday loan. Mom's freaking out. I closed my eyes. It was like some cruel rerun. The same cycle repeating. So what, Jake? You want me to fix it? No, he said. I want you to know you were right, okay? You were right to draw the line. That stunned me. Jake proud. Stubborn. Loyal Jake admitting he'd been wrong. He went on. I wish things were different. I wish our dad was the man we thought he was when we were kids. I wish that too, I whispered. After dinner, Jake walked me to my car. I'm not great at apologies, he said, but I'm sorry. For the text. For not backing you up. Thanks, I said. That means a lot. He hesitated. We good? I looked at him. Not like a rival. Not like an extension of Dad. Just Jake. My brother. We're getting there, I said. He smiled. Progress. That night, I opened the drawer with the restitution checks. All of them were still there, uncashed. I took one out and tore it in half. Not because I forgave him, but because I was ready to stop letting him live rent-free in my head. Update 2 months later. I finally called my mom. We talked for over an hour. No shouting, no guilt-tripping, just honesty. She told me Dad was trying. He had a new job, still behind on bills, but not lying anymore. She said she wasn't asking me to forget, just not to carry it forever. I told her I wasn't ready to see him yet, and she said, "That's okay." That was all I needed. Final thoughts. Family isn't always safe. Sometimes, the people who raise you are the ones you need to heal from, not with. And sometimes, standing up for yourself doesn't fix the past, but it gives you permission to build a future where you're not constantly bleeding for someone else's mistakes. So yeah, I took my dad to court, and I don't regret it. Not for a second. If you like this video, please subscribe for more.